with the constantly unfolding saga.
Good morning, Michael Patrick. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind tour here for the last 3.5 weeks, I would say.
The House is back. Oh, by the way, did you see the photos yesterday of Courser and Gamrat having a foot rub at lunchtime somewhere?
I did, Michael Patrick. I'm not really all that focused on where and when they were meeting. I've never really been focused on the affair. I've been focused from the start, my reporting on whether they were using taxpayer resources to cover up an affair or to maintain, and why exactly were these employees fired from their office in July. And that's the focus of my reporting, and it was obviously the big focus of the House Business Office report that said that these representatives engaged in deceit and outright dishonest conduct.
Did the report give specifics?
They did give a lot of specifics, but they cited evidence and testimony gathered, but they did not attach that evidence and testimony, which is a sticking point that Representative Courser pointed out when he responded last night with about a 4,100-word manifesto response, essentially, which is kind of warming up for Representative Courser as far as writing length, and he really tore into them. That basically he called it a kangaroo court, and that he accused the Speaker of the House, Kevin Cotter, of essentially picking the jury and the evidence that's going to be used against him in this special committee that is set to convene this morning at 9 a.m. at the Capitol, and will likely begin holding week-long hearings stretching into next week.
Speaker Cotter is going to be with us on the air a little bit later, but he is on record, I think, as saying that it's wholly inappropriate for a sitting lawmaker to behave like this, and they should resign immediately.
Yeah, it's interesting. Representative Courser made some new comments about some of his behavior. He talked, you remember when Joshua Klein, the former aide, talked about how he got Courser used to take naps in Representative Gamrat's office, and she would tuck him in. He is now claiming that, he's saying, and I'm told it's credible, that he has some kind of a heart condition, and that he has to lay down every once in a while to deal with it. And so that's his explanation for that behavior. But that's really the small potatoes in this whole issue, whether people are laying down other representatives' offices for a nap. The biggest issue here is essentially they're being accused of using their staff to maintain and cover up their affair. The House Business Office really went after Representative Courser for trying to engage his former employee, Ben Graham, into sending the salacious email, which Representative Courser is now calling the fabled email, that claimed that he was caught having sex with a male prostitute behind a Lansing nightclub. That is obviously what the email and the audio recording fueled all this story, and really was the center of the probe. The House Business Office basically said we wouldn't have an investigation or any real good evidence here if we didn't have these audio recordings from these former aides. And so they used those. There was other instances in this report. They uncovered evidence that Representative Courser and Gamrat forced their employees to forge their signatures so they could get 3 bills introduced ahead of other representatives. And that's going to really shape a few representatives, I imagine, in the Republican caucus. And then there was just a whole host of other instances in which they documented the use of taxpayer resources for political work, maintaining, building their email databases, essentially, to help support Courser's potential run for Congress and Representative Cindy Gamrat's run for the Republican National Committee woman. So there was a whole host of different things they laid out, but they did not include the evidence. And something that we reported before the report broke yesterday, I requested the House Business Office give me full access to all its documentation of its investigation. They denied me because, interestingly enough, not a lot of people know this, Michael Patrick, but the legislature the House of Representatives specifically, is exempt from the Freedom of Information Act, open records law that it imposes on every other level of government in the state of Michigan. And why is that? Well, because they write the law, Michael Patrick, and so that's a huge issue. That's I think going to become a separate front in all of this. That the House of Representatives is a secret government organization. They keep their records close to the vest.
Why would they want to conceal anything, knowing that would only sort of fan the flames of the conspiracy theorists and so forth?
Well, they're holding their evidence and their cards and close to the vest, partly to get into the hearing in the committee proceedings. The committee will have full access to the record, so if they want to bring out something into the public, they can, and they will be able to play audio recordings, read transcripts of recordings. All the interviews were recorded, so. That will eventually play out. I mean, but
will
yeah,
you be able to watch that meeting?
Yeah, it will be a public meeting.
Okay.
But again, there's other aspects. Basically, I mean, Representative Courser is making the point now is I won't have access to all the evidence against me, and so far they have not given all the report to Representatives Todd Courser and Cindy Gamrat, and so there's a due process issue that's going to probably emerge here. That no matter what people think of Representative Courser and Gamrat and their conduct, it's still America, and they're due their right to understand the evidence against them and try to defend themselves. So I mean, this could turn into. And people have already said it's a circus, but he may not have seen anything yet, Michael Patrick.
I think I read in your coverage that Representative Courser and Representative Gamrat apparently both lied during their testimony.
Yeah, the House Business Office said they were not credible witnesses, which was a frankly stunning statement, and that they were contradicted by themselves and misrepresented themselves several times during the interviews. And so there was, and then it's all contradicted by either the audio recordings that the aides made, or the three aides. Testimony, or just email and documentation that is readily available. So, I mean, it's obviously it reads like basically the House Business Office probably confronted them with evidence, and they denied or sidestepped or ultimately lied about what really happened, and it can be essentially proved with records that they're either lying or misleading the investigators.
Can I ask you one more question? I've got one more question, if you'll stay right there. Chad Livengood, find him at the Detroit News.